Okay, hi Savannah. I am super excited to be able to work with you, even if it's just this weird way over a video. So I am going to go over, today's lesson is going to be the homework that you sent me. Okay, so I'm just going to go over each problem one by one. And on this first time, I think that I will give you the final answer and just like trust that you're going through it with me and making sure that you understand everything. And then hopefully in the future, I'll be able to take you through a portion of it and then you can finish it. But I want the first one to be like a tutorial where you completely get everything and make sure that you know the answer. If you like the way that I teach, please tell your mom, because I don't even think that you need a tutor, because I saw the parts of the homework that you did and you clearly get it. I think you know what you're doing. So I'm not sure that you need a tutor, especially, I'm not going to say any names, but he who should not be named, I think you know who I'm talking about, Voldemort, probably shouldn't be your tutor. So I think that I can do it if you like this format. Okay, so let's jump into it and hope you enjoy the lesson. Bye. Okay, hi Savannah. Today it looks like we're going over your homework 1.2a, and this homework goes over modeling percent and using fractions. Okay, so you had done some of it. You did this problem 1, but I'm just going to go over it to make sure that you completely understand it, and then I'm going to change the sentence you wrote just a little bit. So let's go over this first problem. It says, Marco earned $360. Okay, so I'm going to start highlighting the things that are important. He earned $360 by helping his grandfather at his business. He spent a quarter of it, and I'm going to underline spent. He spent a quarter of his earnings on a gift for his mom. Aw, that was sweet of Marco. And then he put 2/3 of the rest in savings. So it's not 2/3 of the total, it's 2/3 of the rest. And then it wants to know how much money is left over. Okay, so the way that they want you to solve this problem, because there's actually multiple different ways of solving it, but they want you to use models. And it looks like you had started to do that in your homework. And I think you did a great job on this problem. You totally got the right answer. I just want to make sure that you know how to do it, okay? So I'm going to go over it again. All right, so I'm going to make a model. So this is going to be a rectangle that represents, I can't draw straight lines, there we go, a rectangle that represents his total amount that he earned. So the way I would write that is this total amount is 360, okay? And then it says that he spent 1/4 of it, of his earnings, on a gift for mom. So 1/4, that bottom number tells you how many portions you need to divide that rectangle into, right? So first I'm going to divide it in half, and then I'm going to divide each half into half, and then I have an equal 4 pieces of the total. And then I think the easiest thing to do from here is to do what you did, and you get your calculator out and you say, well, if I divided 360 into 4 equal pieces, how much is the value? What's the value of each piece? So 4 goes into 360 how many times? So we just do a division problem here. And we say, well, 4 goes into 36 9 times. 9 times 4 is 36. With none left over, bring down that 0. 4 goes into 0 0 times. So that means each of these rectangles have a value of 90. So I'm going to reflect that by putting a 90 in each rectangle so that it's clear to me what is going on. All right, so it says he spent 1/4 of his earnings on a gift for mom. So if I'm going to reflect that, I'm going to say, well, 1/4 of this is gone. He spent $90 on a gift for his mom. I wonder what he got her. Maybe like a nice set of, what could he have gotten her? Maybe like dinner at a fancy restaurant, or a dozen long stem roses. I don't know. Anyway, that's kind of a lot to spend on your mom, but that's nice. And then it says he put 2/3 of the rest in savings. So this is what's left over from, whoops, let's erase that. Sorry, I messed up here. This is what's left over. 3 chunks of 90. And this becomes an easy problem. I'm going to erase this. This becomes an easy problem now because 2/3 of the rest is easy when it's already divided into thirds. And you can see it's divided into thirds because this is one, this is one, and this is one. There's 3 pieces left over, so you can divide that equally. So if he put 2/3 of that in savings, then this went to savings and this went to savings out of what is left over. And then it wants to know how much money is left over. That's easy. It's just this one chunk that we haven't spent on anything else, so he has $90 left over. But in the assignment, what I want to point out is that it wants you to, let me get the wording just right. I'm going to pull up your assignment, and it says, write a number sentence that reflects your model and answer. So a number sentence to reflect your model and the answer. So I would say that, and you wrote a nice sentence that says he has $90 left over to spend for fun. But I think what they're looking for is he has 1/4 of the original amount. I'm running out of room. Amount, I'm going to shorten that, to spend for fun. Because, and then I would say equaling $90. So I think that's what they're looking for here because they want a number sentence reflecting what you did. And this model represents how you figured out that this is what he has left over and that that's actually 1 out of 4 pieces of his original amount. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, we'll reinforce it with these other problems. Okay, so let's do number 2. Number 2 says, and I'm going to pull up your homework again so I see it a little bit more clearly because I shortened it here. Julia found a great pair of boots for $240. Holy cow, Julia, what a princess. That is a lot of money to spend on boots. That's more than I've ever spent on boots. Anyway, and then it says, but that was more than she wanted to spend. A few months later, they were on sale for 40% off, so that becomes important. She searched online and found a coupon for 25% off the sale price. So it's going to be 25% off of what is left over. How much will she pay for the boots? Okay, so let's figure this out. So again, I'm going to make a model just like you did. Okay, so I'm going to start with a rectangle. Okay, a rectangle like this. And this entire rectangle is going to be the total cost of the boots, which is $240. Then it says that she has, they were on sale for 40% off. So 40% off means they want you to put it into a fraction. So 40% is the same as 40 out of 100. And you can simplify this fraction, just like you did, by taking away this 0 and making it 4 out of 10. But then you can simplify even further because you can divide each of those by 2, and that makes 4 out of 10 the same as 2 out of 5. So out of this big chunk of a rectangle, we're going to divide it into 5 pieces because that's the denominator of that fraction. So let's divide it into 5 pieces. Let's see if I can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're supposed to be equal pieces and they're not quite, but maybe I can fix it a little. Sorry, I'm OCD, but let's fix it a little. That looks a little better. Okay, so 2/5. Okay, so what do we do with the 2/5? The 2/5 is the 40% off. So they're going to take 40% off the original price. So if they take 40% off, we can get rid of this and we can get rid of that. I should do it with another color so it's not confusing. So that doesn't count, that doesn't count. So she's still gonna spend this much, and we should figure out what that is. So to figure out what that is, I want to know what one of these rectangles, what is the value of one of these rectangles, right? So to find the value of one rectangle, it's going to be 240 times 1 out of 5. Why? Because you started with 240, you divide it into 5 equal pieces, and then you want the value of one of those. So it's kind of like dividing 240 by 5. It's another way of thinking about it, okay? So let's do that, and I'm just gonna get out my calculator. I don't know if they want you to use calculators, but I'm gonna do it. If you put in your calculator 240 divided by 5, you will get 48. If you wanted to do that with long division, I can show you how to do that. Just let me know and I'll do that for the next lesson. But that means that the value of each rectangle is let's erase that. The value of each rectangle is going to be 48. And this is 48, and this is 48, 48, 48. You could check your work at this point by adding 48, 48, 48, 48, 48 5 times, add it together and see if you get 240 for your total. And that would be a check for you to make sure that you're going in the right direction. So that was a pretty dang good coupon because they took this much off the price, but you still have to pay this much, 48 times 3. So to figure that out, we do 48 times 3. So let's do that. Let me erase some of this other stuff. Okay, so it's not confusing. 48 times 3. 3 times 8 is 24. Carry the 2. 3 times 4 is 12. Plus 2 is 14. 144. So this total is 144. Okay, good. Now it says she had a coupon for 25% off the sale price. Now this one is not as easy as the last one because this 144 that's left over is not divided into 4 pieces, which is what you would want for 25% off. It's divided into 3 pieces. So what we have to do is erase this, erase this, erase this. And just ignore all of that other stuff to the left, and we're going to focus only on this 144. So we're going to focus only on this area, which we know totals 144. Okay, so then we want 25% off that. So what we do to figure that out is we divide this piece into 4 equal pieces because 25% is the same as 1 out of 4. Okay, and then we need to find the value of each of those rectangles. So to find the value of each of those rectangles, we know that the total value of this part, okay, we know that the total value is 144. We're going to divide that by 4. And again, you can use long division or you can just use your calculator. I'm going to use my calculator if I can get it out. Come on, calculator. Okay. So I'm going to do 144 divided by 4 equals, and the answer is 36. So that means the value of each of these is 36, 36, 36, 36. You know, the interesting thing here, Savannah, is if you add 36 plus 36 plus 36 plus 36 plus 48 plus 48, you should still get a grand total of 140. because you're just breaking up that chunk a little bit differently. Okay, so now that we know that the value of one of those rectangles is 36, we're going to look back at the question, and it's saying the coupon is good for 25% off the sale price. So that means they're going to take off one of these. Knock that off the price. And this is already knocked off the price with the 40% coupon. So what is left over? What is left over is this one, and this one. So it's going to be 36 plus 36 plus 36, or in other words, 36 times 3. So just multiply that out. 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. $108. So what does that $108 represent? That is the cost that she still has to spend. After the discounts, she still has to spend that much money. So for the number sentence, I won't write it out this time, but I would say, let's see, how would I phrase that? I would say, let me think about that for a second. I would say she has to pay 3/4 of the sale price equaling $108. I think that's still pretty pricey boots. They'd have to be pretty good boots for me to want to buy that. But that, I would say that's the final answer. Because that's a good sentence that sort of represents your model. Okay. All right. And I think that when I look back, I think that you started this problem, but you didn't finish it. So that would be how you finish it. And I can't tell, you were on the right track. You got 40 out of 100, which is 2 out of 5, and you did that part, but then it was hard to figure out what's 1/4 of what's left over. And you basically, what you do is just start over with what's left. Okay, let's do another one. It'll sink in. Don't you worry, it's going to sink in. So let's do number 3. Oh, this one made me laugh because this is literally what it says. Jose earned money over the summer working at his family store. He put 3/4 of the money he earned in savings. So he saved 3/4 of it. Oh, sorry, you can't see that. He saved 3/4 of it. And then he spent half the rest. So that's your other fraction. He spent half the rest. He has $120 left. How much did her earn? Literally, this is not my typo. This is your teacher's typo. How much did her earn? What the heck? Come on, teacher. You can't fix that? My goodness. Is Jose a girl now? This is craziness. Okay, so let's figure it out. They gave you a problem in a little bit different way because they didn't tell you the total amount. You have to figure out the total amount. So the format is a little bit different. Otherwise, the problem is exactly the same. So again, we draw a big rectangle. Okay, big rectangle here. Now, we know that he saved 3/4 of the total. So I'm going to divide this big rectangle into quarters. Okay. It's not very neat quarters, but they're quarters. The total is unknown. We don't know. I'm going to put a question mark there. So he saved 3/4 of the total. So if I take away like what he saved, it's 3/4. So 1, 2, 3. And it says, okay, he saved 3/4 of it. So he has this much left. He has this much left. And then it says he spent half of the rest. So if I divide this into half, then he spent this. So that's going to be gone. It's gone in a slightly different way because he spent it instead of saving it, but either way, it's gone. And then it says he has 120 left. So what they do is they tell you the value of this, This is a value of 120. So you can tell from your model, I think you can figure this out. So if this one is 120, what does this one have to be? This one also has to be 120. So 120, 120, because they're equal. That was divided into half. And if both of those are 120, then what is this total? This total has to be 240. And now we're looking at a rectangle that is the same size as all of these other rectangles. So that means that this is 240, this is going to be 240, this is going to be 240, and this is going to be 240. And then all you have to do is add up those totals and you will get your final answer. And it's basically going to be 240 times 4. Do you get why? Because you have this rectangle, this rectangle, this rectangle, and then this one is this whole rectangle that's left over. So it's 240 times 4 is going to be the total amount that he earned. He, her, whatever. So let's just multiply that out. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 4 is 16. Carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. The total that he earned was $960. Final answer. Okay, so if I were going to put that into a number sentence, I would say, it says how much money did he earn? Okay, I would say he earned, he earned 4 times twice the amount that he had left over. He earned 4 times twice the amount that he had left over. See if that makes sense in your head. He earned 4 times twice the amount that he had left over, which equals $960. Alrighty, let's do number 4. Number 4 says, Marissa earned money for helping a local business with organizing their inventory. Who cares? I just shortened that to Marissa earned money. Okay, and then it says, she spent half of her earnings on accessories for her phone. Ugh, what a dummy. Half of her money on her phone. And then half of the remaining money on a gift for her mother. Well, she almost redeemed herself there. Okay, and then she had $15 left over. What was the total? Okay, let's see. Let's figure this out. So again, we are going to start with big rectangle. Okay. And let's look back at the problem to see how we need to divide it. She spent half on her phone. That's easy because you just divide that in half and then this half is gone. She spent it on her phone. What a dummy. That's a big chunk of change right there, no matter how much change you got. Okay, and then she spent half of what was left over on a gift for mom. So let's change the color. So what was left over, she divided that into half and spent that on a gift for mom. So this is phone. So this is phone. This is mom. And then the rest that she had left over is 15. So I think you know how to do this one because I saw that you had got it correct on your homework. So if this, darn thing. Okay, so if this is 15, then that means this is also 15. And then this chunk of change has to be equal to this chunk of change, right? So you have 15 plus 15, which is 30, and then this is going to be 30. So the total is going to be 30 plus either 30, you could say 30 plus 30, or you could say 30 plus 15 plus 15, and your total is going to be 60. And that's the answer that you got. And so for my number sentence, I would say, let's see, what was the total? The total amount that she earned is, I would say, is 4 times the amount that she has left over. So total is equal to 4 times the amount that she had left over, which is 15. And that would be sort of my number sentence to explain the answer. But as you figured out, the final answer is 60. Okay, let's go on to number 5. Number 5 says, Maria is learning to golf. It's hard not to judge these people because what a waste of time, huh? She has been working particularly hard on driving. I don't know if you are familiar with golf, but that means how far you can get the ball to go. Whatever. It's not like driving a car. Anyway, before she was able to get 240 yards, and she increased that with lessons by 25%. How far is her drive now? So it's funny because you could do this different way without using a model. If I were doing it algebraically without using a model, there's another way to do it, but I don't know if you want to learn that right now. If you do, let me know. Let's just do it the way that you're supposed to in this assignment. Okay, so the way that you're supposed to do it is, again, you make your rectangle. And the total rectangle, this is what she started out with, is 240 yards. This is not any different than the money problems. It's just giving you a different unit. It's 250 yards rather than 240 yards rather than $240, but the principle is the same. You increase that by 25%. So what you have to do is find out what is 25% of that. So again, we divide that into quarters because 25% is the same as 1/4. So divide that into quarters. So then we have to find the value of one of these things. Let's find the value of 1. So to find the value of 1, we say, you can either say what is 1/4 of 240, or you can say what is 240 divided by 4. And if you do that long division, you get 60. So then you figure out that the value of each of these is 60, 60, 60, 60. The difference here is that it is saying before she had 240 yards, that's how far she got, but that increased by 25%. So in order to increase this by 25%, we're not taking 25% away, we're adding, I'm not adding it very well, am I? We're adding another rectangle that is equal to 1/4 of the total. So this is going to be equal to, you know this, 60. So then it says, how far is her drive now? All you have to do is add, well, what is 60 plus 60 plus 60 plus 60 plus 60? Or in other words, what is 60 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Times 5. And the answer that you would get is 300. So she went, and then look back at your answer and see if it makes sense. She increased her drive by 25%. So she basically went from 240 to 300, and that is an increase. So if you get a weird number like, I don't know, 20, you'd be like, well, that's weird. She should have increased the drive to something much bigger, right? Not much bigger, but a little bit bigger. So this answer makes sense to me. So if I were doing a number sentence for this, I would say, let's see, how far is her drive now? Her drive now is 1/4. Let's see, her drive now is equal to 1/4 of 240 added to 240. And that's sort of the number sentence. Okay, so I think that's what they mean. And you can write that out in words or in symbols. I just wrote it in symbols. But it's basically 240 plus 1/4 of 240. Okay? All right, let's move on to the next one. The next one is number 6. It says, 2 stores have the same skateboard, and the price of the skateboard is $200. Okay. And then it says, at store AAA, so here's store AAA, I'm going to write it over here. At store AAA, it's on sale for 30% off 30% off, sorry for my bad handwriting, with a rewards coupon that allows the purchaser to take an additional 20% off the sale price. So I'm going to say 30% off plus 20% off sales price. Okay. And then at store B, the skateboard's on sale for 50% off. Which one's a better deal? Or are they the same? Are they the same? Okay, so don't get tricked by thinking it's the same, because someone that is dumber than you in your class is going to say, well, store B, has it for 50% off. And this one, store A, has it for 30% off plus 20% off, so that's 50% off. And it's the same price at the both stores. But they are dumb because they did not figure it out the long way, which is what they want you to do. And when you do that, you'll realize that it's actually not the same price. This is a totally different thing. So you have to figure it out the long way. You can't just add those percentages together, and I'll show you why. Okay, I'll show you why. So let's figure out what the price is going to be at store A. Let's use this because I haven't used this color yet. So store A, man, thank goodness it straightened that line out for me, huh? That line was awful. Store A. Okay, so what was the total price? Let's look back. The total price was going to be $200. Total price is $200. Then it starts out with 30% off. So you divide it. Oops, guess what I almost did? I almost divided it into thirds. Oh my goodness, what am I thinking? But a third would be 33% off. It wouldn't be 30% off. So how do I divide this to represent 30% off? Well, 30 over 100 is equal to 3 over 10. And can we simplify that any further? Actually, no, we can't. So what I have to do is divide this 200 into 10 pieces. Let's see if I can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see. Am I doing that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need one more. I'm just going to add it here. 10. Okay, so that's 10 pieces. All 10 pieces add up to 200. So what is the value of each piece? 200 divided by 10 is going to be 20. So the value of each piece is 20. Okay, I think you get the idea. I won't write 20 in all of them, but that's the idea. Now, it says that you get 3 out of 10 off, or 30% off. So that's where we make the first discount. We get 30% off. So 30% off, that means 3 out of 10 of these, I can take that off. So that's $20, $40, $60. You already have $60 off, okay? And then it says, of the rest of this, you're going to get 20% off. So let's figure out what is the rest of this. Well, the rest of this is going to be 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20. In other words, 20 times 7, because there were 3 bars taken off, but there's going to be 7 bars left because there were 10 total. So 20 times 7. So what is that? 7 times 0 is 0. 7 times 2 is 14. So this total right here is going to be 140. And then you take 20% off the sales price. So this is where you can see that it's different from 50%. You're not taking 20% off the original price. No, you're taking 20% off the sales price. So that's 20% of what's left over. So in this situation, we don't divide this. Let's see, how do I explain this? Okay, we're going to take 20% off of what's left. what I'm going to do, tell me if this makes sense. Watch what I'm doing. I'm erasing what's inside. Okay. I'm erasing what's inside. I'm not erasing that. This is 140. It's like a new problem. So this is 140. Okay? And you take 20% off of that. So 20% off of 140. So now I need to treat this like a new bar and take 20% off that. So how many pieces do I need to divide it into? Well, 20 over 100 is the same as 2 over 10, right? Which is the same as 1 out of 5. So I'm treating this as a new problem. I'm taking this 140 and I'm going to divide it into, let's do an even different color, 5 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just pretend they're even. Okay, just humor me. Alrighty, so, and then we're gonna take, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. We're gonna take 20% off of that. So 1 out of 5 off of that. 20% is the same as 1 out of 5. And so this is what's left over, and this is all that you have to pay. So we need to find the value of each one of those. So if you take 140 and you divide it by 5, 140 divided by 5. I'm just going to use my calculator here again. Sorry, I have to unlock my phone because it... Okay, so 140 divided by 5 is equal to 28. So 28 is the value of each rectangle, right? 28, 28, 28. So then to figure out what is this X, or what is the value that you have to end up paying, it's going to be 28 plus 28 plus 28 plus 28. So in other words, it's going to be 28 times 4. 28 times 4, I'm going to use my calculator again, is 112. So 112 is the amount that you're going to pay. So let's look back at the problem. With store A, that was all for store A, we're going to pay 112. 112 bucks. I should make it a dollar sign there. Okay, so that's store A. What about store B? Store B said you get half off. Half off of 200 is 100 bucks. So actually, store B is the better deal. And to kind of figure that out, you don't let's look back at why it's not just 30 plus 20%. It's 30% off the total, but it's not 20% off the total. It's only 20% off of this portion right here. So if it were 20% off the total again, then yeah, they would be the same, or you would have to figure that out. But it's 30% off the total and then 20% off of what's left over. So you don't get as good of a deal because it's not 20% off the entire chunk. And you can see that when you look at the model, or you can figure it out like we did. Okay, I'm beating a dead horse on that. Okay, Savannah, we are going to move on to question number 7. And question number 7, I'm going to open your homework and see what it says exactly. It says 2 schools start out with 1,000 students. And then it's going to compare school A and school B. Okay? And it says school A increases it increases this number of students by 20% in 1 year. And then in the next year, it decreases the students by 20%. And then it says with school B, there's 1,000 students and there's no change. No change. Okay, so who has more students at the end, or do they have, it says, which school has the most students now, A or B? Okay, let me tell you what the dumb people in your class are going to do. The dumb people in your class that don't think about it too much are going to say, well, look at school A. It went up by 20% and it went down by 20%. So it didn't change at all. And that's the same as what happened with school B. And so there's going to be no change. But you are not going to fall into that trap because you know it's a trick question. This is such a trick. The reason it's a trick is because this 20% that they're talking about where it went up by 20%, it's 20% out of 1,000. Okay, this 20% where it went down by 20% is not 20% of the original, it's down 20% of the total number of students that year, which is 1,000 plus 20% of 1,000, which we can figure out what that is, plus 20%, but it's a different denominator. The denominator here is 1,000. The denominator here is actually going to be 1,200. And I can show you how we get to 1,200 in just a second. Okay, so don't fall into that trap. It's a trick question. Okay, let me erase some of this and then I'll show you how we do this problem. Okay, so we're going to start with the school. This is like the school. And it tells us that we have a total of 1,000 students. And then we have to go up by 20%. So to increase by 20% is the same as increasing by the fraction of 1/5 because 1 out of 5 is the same as 20%. So I'm going to divide this rectangle into 5 equal groups, if I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, that was pretty good. Not bad, right? Are you impressed? And then we have to find the value of one of these. Okay, so the value of 1 is going to be 1,000 times 1/5, or in other words, it's going to be 1,000 divided by 5. And the answer to that is 200. You can check that with the calculator just to be sure. So that means that the value of each of these rectangles is 200, 200, 200, 200 students in each of these. And then it says it went up by 20%. So as you noticed from a previous problem, we're going to add another 20%. So basically this school got 200 more students in that year, 2013 or whatever. So now it's as if we're doing a whole new problem. It's not 1,000 anymore. That is no longer the denominator. The new denominator is going to be 200 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you multiply that out, you'll get 1,200. So 6 times 200 is 1,200. So in the next year, it says the total decreases by 20%. So these chunks are no longer valid. It's too many chunks. The denominator is different. So what we have to do is divide this new denominator as if it's a new problem, because it basically is, into 5s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, again, I did pretty good. Now, what's the value of one of these? Well, we're going to have to do 1,200 divided by 5 to figure that out. So the value of, let's see, 5 goes into 12, 1, so 10. Well, no, I did this wrong. Sorry. 5 goes into 10 twice. 5 times 2, 10. Subtract that, 24, 5 times 4, 20, and then bring the 0. Okay, so it's 240. You can do it on your calculator if you don't want to do long division. But I know that each of these is 240. 240, 240, 240, 240, 240. Okay, now it says that in this new year, the number of students went down by 20%. So 20% is a bigger chunk now than it was before because your denominator is 1,200. Your denominator is no longer 1,000. So how many students are left in the school? It's this many students, which would be 240 plus 240 plus 240 plus 240, or in other words, 240 times 4, because there's 4 rectangles. So 4 times 0, 0, 4 times 4 is 16, carry the 1, 4 times 2, 8, plus 1 is 9. So there's 960 in this school. Let's go back to the original problem. So in school A, which went up by 20 and down by 20%, there's 960. B had no change, so there's still 1,000. So school B is the winner. It has more students. See how it's a trick question? But you are going to be so smart and figure those out. Okay, let's do problem number 8. Don't worry, we are almost done. We are getting there. Hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. Problem 8 says, Jose estimates that 50% of his income, so 50% of his income goes to living expenses like rent, utilities, and food. Of the rest, so that part's important, of the remaining, 50% goes to paying for his car, so 50% goes to his car, and 25% to other expenses. He has $300 left over at the end of the month. How much does he earn? Okay, you know how to do this one. Let's make a rectangle. Okay. This time, the total is unknown. Question mark here. Question mark. But they give you enough information to figure it out. So 50% goes to living expenses. So if I divide that in half of it, gone. I'm going to write living, live. Okay. Now the rest is the other 50%. Now it says of the remaining 50%, 50% goes to his car. So again, we'll divide that in half. Oh, poop. Okay, 50% goes to his car, and 25% to other expenses. Let me look at the problem, because I need to know, is it 25% of what's left over, or is it 25% of this 50%? Let's read the problem a little more carefully to figure that out. Of the rest, 50% goes to paying for his car and 25% to other expenses. So what I should really do is divide this into fourths. Okay? Because of that 25%, I need chunks that are in quarters, not in halves. So it says 50% goes to the car. So we can still figure that this goes to the car and this goes to the car. But then 25% of this total amount, okay, is going to go to other expenses. So this is going to be other. I'll write other there. And then he has 300 left. So this is going to be 300. So how much does he earn total? So what we're going to do is, if this is 300, then these must all be 300. 300, 300. And if these are all 300, then this total here is going to be 300 times 300 times 4, which is 1,200. So this total right here, which is 300 times 4, is equal to 1,200, which means this must be equal to 1,200 as well. Okay, so the total that he makes is 1,200 plus 1,200, which is equal to 2,400. Let's see, so that's how much he makes every month. the key is here, that's the part that I'm reading really carefully to make sure that I'm getting it right. But if your teacher marks it wrong, this is where the mistake was made. And I would say it's a mistake on the teacher's part because that part is a little confusing the way that it's worded. But the way that it's worded, this is an accurate answer that he makes 2,400 total. Okay, the rest of your homework looks like it's a review. So I'm just going to go through it really, really quickly, okay? The first one is, what is 85% of 420? There's two ways to do this. You could either do 420 times 0.85. Just plug that into your calculator and get an answer. The other way to do it with fractions would be this way. It would be x out of 420 is the same as 85 over 100, and then you cross multiply. Do you know how to cross multiply? So if you do, it would be 100 times x is equal to 420 times 85. And if you divide that by 100 on both sides, that cancels out. Divide this by 100. You'll get 420 times 85 divided by 100, which is actually the same as this problem. So you can see that we did it correctly both ways. And then we would put that into a calculator, 420 times 0.85, and the answer is 357. This is my final answer. Okay. Let's do number 2. Number 2 says it gives you 915 as a fraction, and then I think it says put it in a decimal and put it in a percent. Let me see if that's what it says. Yes, find the equivalent decimal and the equivalent percent. So to do the decimal, I mean, I don't know exactly what they want you to do, but what I would do is take a calculator and plug in 9 divided by 15. Just plug that directly into a calculator, 9 divided by 15, and you'll get 0.6. And 0.6 is the same as 6/10. And to get it to a percent, it needs to be something out of 100, which if you just add another 0 to that, it's 60 out of 100, because you can multiply any fraction by a number if the top and bottom number are the same. So it's like multiplying the top and the bottom by 10. So as a percent, it's 60%. As a decimal, it's 0.6. Final answer. All right, number 5. What is the greatest common factor of 12 and 18? So we have to factor these. So to do that, we start with 12. I know that 12 can be divided by 2, so it's going to be 2 times 6. I know that 6 can be divided into 2, so this is 2 times 3. So for 12, it's going to be equal to 2 times 2 times 3. And then let's do 18. I'll use a different color so it's not confusing. 18, let's factor that. It can be divided by 2, and then you have 9 here. 9 can be divided by 3 and 3, so then you have 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. And then you look at what's the same. Well, what's the same between the two of them is you have a 2 and you have a 3, and here you have a 2 and you have a 3. So 2 times 3 is going to be 6. So the greatest common factor is 6. In other words, 6 goes into 12 and 6 goes into 18. That's the final answer. Let's do it for 21 and for 42. So these are going to take a little bit longer because they're bigger numbers, but that's okay. 21. So I know that, how do you divide 21? I know that it can be divided by 3. The reason I know is because if you add the digits, 2 plus 1, it equals 3. And anything when you add the digits that can be divided by 3, then that means that original number can be divided by 3. So if I divide it by 3, I get a 3 and a 7. Now those are both prime numbers, so I'm going to stop there. What about the 42? Well, I know it can be divided by 2 because it's an even number. So 42 divided by 2 is going to be 21. And then that can be divided with 3 and 7. So this 21 is 3 times 7, and this is 2 times 3 times 7. So the greatest common factor is actually going to be 21, because you have, let's see, let me see if I can explain this. You have a 3 and you have a 7, and here you have a 3 and you have a 7. And then if you take 3 times 7, you get 21, which makes sense. So this is actually the final answer, 21. Why? Because 21 goes into 21. It could be 21 times 1, and 21 goes into 42 because it can be 21 times 2. Okay, what is the greatest common factor of 54 and 72? Okay, so let's start with 54. Now I'm going to make it easy and divide it by 2 because it's an easy number, so that's a good place to always start. So it would be 2 times 27. Now, 27 cannot be divided by 2. Could it be divided by 3? Yes, because if you add 7 and 2, you get 9. 9 is divisible by 3, so therefore 27 must be divisible by 3. So I have a 3, and then if I divide that by 3, I get 9. 9 can also be divided by 3, so a 3 and a 3. And then these are all prime numbers, so I stop there. So 54 is going to be, well, I'll keep it yellow. 54 is equal to 2 times 3, right? I'm just going down, times 3 times 3, times 3 times 3, okay? Let's do 72, and I'll do a different color. 72. Can you divide it by 2? Yes. So I'm going to get out my calculator because I can't think anymore. Divided by 2 is 36. Well, I know 3 is going to go into that, right? So 3 is going to be 12. 12 can be 3 and 4. 4 can be 2 and 2. Sorry, it's getting a little small there. So 72 is going to be, let's just make it easy, 2 times 3 times 3 times 2 times 2. So what is in common between that and 54? Well, the ones that are in common, you've got a 2 in common, this one and this one. So 2 times, you've got this 3 that goes with that 3. You've got another 3 that goes with this 3. And this one has another 3 here, but there's no 3 left over here. So this is the final answer, 2 times 3, which is going to be equal to, ta-da-da, 18. Final answer. Yay. Oh, you can't see it anymore. That's okay. It's 18 is the final answer. Oh, I was looking for another problem, and now look, we are 100% done. Okay, Savannah, I know that was long. Thank you for hanging in there with me. I hope you learned something. I hope you liked it. If you did, like this video. Just kidding. Just kidding. I don't even know what that means. Just send me a text, okay? All right.